back to MindBodyFood TV. My name is Viki. I'm sitting on the couch today with the lovely Kylie from What Can I Eat. Welcome, Kylie.
Thank you for having me, Viki.
My pleasure. I'm really excited to have Kylie come and talk with us today because our topic is about oats and gluten-free oats, which is something that we in Australia don't tend to recognise as much because, well, you tell us, Kylie, you're the expert on this. So you tell us, what is the difference between oats, gluten-free oats, and uncontaminated oats?
Well, there's a lot of controversy about oats, and just a brief history about how I got involved.
Yes, please.
Became the oats lady in Australia.
There you go, she's the oats lady.
The oats lady.
I have brought you the oats lady.
In 2009, we were producing gluten-free flours which I started because my own family had food allergies and intolerances, and I had my own mix on the market. And then I'm not quite sure, but across my vision, people started to ask me about this gluten-free oats. And to cut a long story short, I linked up with a group in America called Gluten-free Oats, and they grow a product in Wyoming that is totally uncontaminated from wheat, rye or barley. So I knew from our own history eating basically a wheat-free diet that oats was generally contaminated at the farm level. Okay? So I'm a wheat farmer's daughter, so I know that we grew oats specifically, but also farmers that grow wheat can often grow rye and barley as well.
Other gluten-free or other foods that contain gluten.
That's right, yeah. And so the product is actually contaminated at the farm level because, not on purpose, but the farmers grow these other grains and they use the same machinery, the same trucks, the same processing equipment. So that's where the contamination came.
It's much like that chocolate block when it says make and train traces of nuts.
That's exactly right.
What does nuts have to do with you?
Yeah, exactly right. So the guys in America, I spoke to them a lot. I did a bit of research and realised that they had what I considered to be the purest oats in the world. They are actually celiacs themselves. Or the whole family were diagnosed as celiacs. So they had a vested interest. And what I looked and I thought, you know, somebody is going to import this product into Australia. And there was then a lot of controversy about it. And I thought, well, why not me? Because I know the story of gluten intolerance. I live gluten intolerance. And so why not me? So
why not you?
Yeah, in 2009 we imported our first pallet of oats into Australia, and it took us about 10 months, I think, to sell that pallet. But we were under a lot of scrutiny from health departments, from celiac societies, and we still are, because one of the problems with oats is that in the food labelling laws here in Australia, anything that contains oats cannot have a gluten-free claim on the packaging. So that's where the controversy comes in. So we actually, when the oats come in, we send it to an independent tester to show, and we have it on the back of our label. It shows that it's less than 3 parts per million, which would normally you'd be able to put a gluten-free claim on it.
Yeah.
But because
in America, you definitely would be able
America, UK, northern parts of Europe, they can all put gluten-free on it, which is creating more and more problems as people get onto the internet and they Google gluten-free recipes.
Yeah.
Up comes gluten-free oats.
Yeah.
So, but you know, so every day I have people calling me going, I've bought your product, but I'm just not sure, is it gluten-free? So,
and you know, that's the thing. I can understand. Look, our family predominantly has a gluten-free diet, and it's not because I have a gluten intolerance. I can tolerate eating gluten, But because of my recovery from my eating disorder, there were challenges with certain foods. So predominantly in our house, we choose to have mostly gluten-free foods, not for any other specific reason, because choice and health. It's our choice. But for people who generally do have, you know, a gluten intolerance,
Yeah.
then there would be a lot of fear behind, well, these people say it's gluten-free, but then these people say it's not. So what do I do if I want to try? Well, unfortunately, if you want to try and see if that protein component in oats is going to actually affect you as an individual, then it is a bit of a gamble. But at the same time, it just may not affect you, and you don't know, do you? So
No.
I can understand people being very confused about it,
Yeah.
because there's an element of fear. Am I gonna have, you know, the inflammation and the reaction as when I eat other gluten foods?
Yeah, and some people try them, and I say to people, if you buy the oats and you have a bad reaction to them, send them back, I'll give you money back.
You can't get better than that, people.
No.
An open packet, trying it, and if it does affect you, being able to send it back, that's very generous. But it's also, I think it's good business, because it helps people realise that maybe oats is a particular food that has trace amounts of gluten that they can actually enjoy.
Yeah, so what some of the studies in the States have found, and even on the Australian Celiac website, they have put out a press release reflecting these same results, is that when they did a study on celiacs, so they're the people who have the allergy to the protein, okay, not just a food intolerance like myself. So they found that group of people, 1 in 20, still had a reaction. So what we found about oats is that all the different grains, so every grain has a protein percentage reading. So but they're all on a different scale. So wheat, rye and barley are well over 50% protein reading.
Which is quite high.
That's right. But oats is around the 12 to 15%, and it can go down to rice is 5%. So corn even has a gluten reading or a protein content. But nobody can find, because there's such low readings and there are different strains of gluten, the testing can't pick it up. So if you send a product to the testing facility with rice in it or corn in it, it comes back less than 3 parts per million, and we can call it gluten-free. Well, to me, oats fits into that same category, because as long as it's uncontaminated, it is actually showing from a testing point of view as being gluten-free.
Yeah.
So, but, you know, there are those people who have got poor gut, you know, food processing. They are, you know, the top range of intolerance to gluten.
Do we know what kind of percentage there is of people who are in that top range?
Well, no, I don't know. But, you know, if we go by the Celiac Society once again, they're saying 1 in 5 people will have a reaction to the oats. And we've seen, you know, over the last 5 years since I've been importing the oats, we've seen the onset of gluten-free, grain-free diets.
Yeah.
So they're for that group of people who are still eating grain and getting the rumbly tummies, getting the bloating, getting that reaction.
Yeah.
So
in that instance, it's very hard to be able to determine what is actually causing inflammation if you're still eating other foods that could be intolerances or a problem for you as an individual when you're making food choices.
That's right, because when we were diagnosed with our food problems, corn was on the top of our list. We couldn't eat corn. So most of the gluten-free foods, you know, 5 to 10 years ago, the first ingredient was corn or maize. So
Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of a different kind of confusion comes in on the labelling. Not just talking about gluten-free foods, but also the ingredients in food.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a big component of eating real food, real whole natural seasonal food.
But also understanding, Viki, that one can I say, man's food, person's food,
Yeah.
is another person's poison.
Exactly.
You know,
because we're all bio-individual. We
Yeah.
all, you know, I mean, we were talking just earlier before we started this video about the paleo diet and about people who've tried going on the paleo diet and it just hasn't worked for them. And you know, my thing is that there are so many different ways to approach eating. Why do we have to label it? Why do we have to actually give it a name? And the other thing is, following a paleo diet or a vegan diet or a raw diet or a low carb, high fat diet, there might be different shades of each way in those diets. There might be different, you know, shades of grey in a paleo diet. Eating a little more meat, eating a little less meat, all of those kinds of things. You know, for example, the low carb, high fat diet. Yeah, it's great to put, you know, more healthy fats into your diet. Fat doesn't make you fat. But for some people, they just can't tolerate the recommended high amounts of fat. I don't have a gallbladder anymore, and I can't, you know, I can have up to a certain amount of healthy fats. Over that, my body doesn't take too kindly to it.
Yeah.
So it really is finding your own way, finding your own, navigating what feels right for you when it comes to eating and your food choices, and not about following any particular way.
Yeah.
So really letting your body be your guide.
Yeah.
And that's the same with gluten-free foods. I mean, if your body is going to be okay with those trace amounts of avenine, the protein in the oats, then that's wonderful. You can include that into your diet. Fantastic. If it does react, then you're going to know. Then definitely that's not good for you. But really, it should come down to that.
Yeah.
And so all this argument about, you know, how much is in there, is that classed as this or classed as that? Because that's where people get confused.
Yeah. And so I often get asked, like, how much, when to introduce the oats. And if people have been on a gluten-free diet for a period of time, so at least around the 6 to 12 months since you've been diagnosed, especially with celiac disease. Gluten intolerance, you know, it's an intolerance is not as bad, and you haven't got the high levels of inflammation that a celiac has. So we do sample packs of 40 grams. So that's what we consider to be a serve. Okay, so for people, and I so get it, and I appreciate them, and I understand where they're coming from as far as their reactions go. But if they have been on a strict gluten-free diet for a 6 to 12 month period, when you bring in something that you haven't eaten before, you will know.
Yeah.
You will know straight away. And you need to work with your health practitioner as well. Don't think that I'm advocating that you don't. So you bring in your 40 grams, but one of the things that we used to do 20 years ago, we did a rotational diet. So we used to have to eat food groups every 4 days, because it would take 4 days for that food to be out of our system and to try and reduce the inflammation that we had. So that's exactly what I suggest people have when they're trying the oats. Have it on a 4-day rotational basis. You will know fairly soon whether that product is going to be causing you inflammation or not. So I've had from one scale to the other people who have eaten it straight away and have gone, I've got the grumbly belly, I've got the bloating, okay, it's no good for you, to a gentleman in New South Wales who was 48 kilos, and he started eating the oats every day, and he just said to me, I just feel the nutrition as soon as I eat it. And he was putting on 1 kilo every week.
Wonderful.
So I've had totally opposite end of the scale. So once again, that reflects what was right for one person was not right necessarily for the other person.
Reiterating that we are all individuals.
Yes.
So not one piece of advice, not one diet, not one way of doing things is going to suit you just because it suits somebody else. So please take the information in this video, do your own research, speak to your healthcare practitioner, get in touch with Kylie if you want to learn more. And this is the oats now. This is the packaging right here. So Kylie owns GK Gluten-free Foods, and also the website What Can I Eat. Can you just tell us a little bit about What Can I Eat, because that's a fantastic resource for people who do suffer from intolerances, inflammation and issues with food.
So what I found was, when I was going around the allergy shows several years ago, was that people would say to me, "Oh, look, I'm not just a gluten-free. I'm also have to avoid sugar, and I have to avoid corn, and I have to avoid soy." And I went, "Oh wow, this sounds familiar. This was my story. You know, this was our story." And
it's sadly becoming so many people's stories.
So over
these days.
2 years, I did some research and realised that about 1 in 4 also had something else, like whether it be, well, back then it was dairy and corn, and people would say to me, "Well, what can I eat now?" You know, once I was diagnosed with eating gluten-free, back then you might as well have ended your life, because there weren't the products that we have today.
Yeah.
And people would continually say to me, "What can I eat?" So one day I thought, well, wouldn't it be fabulous for the community to be able to have a one-stop resource that showcased all the products in Australia that could suit a whole range of different intolerances.
Yeah.
So I realised 1 in 4 people were also looking for something else other than gluten-free. And they were continually saying to me, "Well, what can I eat now? What can I eat?" I got the message, what can I eat? And I put together our directory referral site, which started to populate and talk to other suppliers in Australia who can now showcase their products on that site, and consumers can come on, importantly, and they can go, "I'm gluten-free, I'm sugar-free, I'm dairy-free. Show me what products are available here in Australia.
Show me what can I eat."
That's it.
That's a fantastic idea. I think it's just a great resource to have.
Well,
there's so much stuff on your website.
That's right, and there's products littered all over the retail. They're in delis, they're in health food shops, they're in IGAs, Woolies, Coles, and people, you know, predominantly they shop in one particular area, but there might be a fabulous new product that's on the market that's only available in, say, IGAs.
Yeah.
So being able to connect them with What Can I Eat, as to, it's all about partnering people to products in Australia. So that's
nice tagline, partnering people to products.
Yeah.
Particularly products that are going to enhance your health.
That's right.
So
we connect people with sugar-free products, vegetarian, vegan, whatever it is that you are looking for.
Yeah, awesome. So what's the website called?
So the website is whatcanieat.com.au. If you're looking for more information about the oats, we can connect you through there. But our oats is on wheatfree.com.au, and that site specifically about selling the oats. We have stockist lists on there, so you can see whether your local health food shop has the oats, because we have quite a good distribution on the eastern seaboard. But we sell oats all around Australia, so we can package them up and send them to you.
Great. So no matter where you live in Australia, if you would like to try one of those introduction packs with the 40-gram serving, to see whether or not oats may be something you can start including back into your diet, then get in touch with Kylie. We'll put the links to the websites underneath the video for you, so we can make it really super easy for you just to click on it and off you go, learn more. Thank you so much for being with us and helping to clarify and help us understand a little bit more about the difference between gluten-free and uncontaminated oats when it comes to product labelling here in Australia.
Yep. Thanks, Viki, for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you. Now, everybody, you take care of yourselves. Remember, you're the most important person in your life, so it's up to you to be responsible for taking care of your health and happiness. So we will see you next time. Links underneath the video. Go and check it out, and hopefully it's going to help you experience some more whole self-nourishment and food freedom. See you next time.
Bye.